What about financial system, what you have right now? You have a huge deficit and also huge debt. It's, I think, $39 trillion. Is there any plan to change this?
Well, I think there's two sides to it. The one is what this administration is very clear on, which is we have to grow our way out of the deficit. Now, obviously, tariffs are a major aspect of this and will continue to be a major aspect of this. But rebuilding an actual productive base in the United States, where you have more businesses flourishing in the United States who will be, feeding into our tax base, where less people are on government assistance and are out working in productive jobs, and so on. So there's that aspect of and the administration has been clear, growing your way out, as opposed to, I might add, the old Wall Street Republican way of approaching this, which is cut everything, cut Social Security, cut Medicare. We've got to close the deficit, so we're going to cut everything. This administration is clear. We will cut the waste and the fraud, but we will not touch Social Security, Medicare, or Medicaid. And the president said that in the State of the Union message. That's one side of it. In a sense, that's the long-term antidote to how we got here. There is a financial bubble. There is no question that there is a huge amount of speculative paper, which really represents nothing real. And if you look at the way Alexander Hamilton dealt with this over 200 years ago, the infant republic was in debt. There were some who said, well, just repudiate the debt because it wasn't contracted by the American government. It was the Revolutionary War period and so on. And Hamilton said, no, you can't do that. No one will take us seriously as a nation. But he also knew that you couldn't pay the debt at that moment. What did he do? It was brilliant. And I'm waiting for the administration to come up with some version of this. He established a national bank. And he said to the people who hold the debt, well, we can't pay you right now. If you want to get paid, maybe I'll give you, $1 on, 100. But if you take that debt and you reinvest it in our bank, in 10 years, we'll be able to pay you back, which is what happened. So that debt was used, it was converted to capitalize the bank. Bank was used to build infrastructure, support manufacturing, build up the United States, and we grew our way out of the debt. Now, admittedly, the debt which is out there contracted by these speculative institutions, the derivatives on the derivatives on the derivatives on the derivatives, a lot of this is illegitimate. I think at some point it's going to be necessary to do a bit of surgery in terms of what is legitimate debt and not legitimate debt. But the one thing I think I can say is if you look at the statements, official statements by the Treasury Secretary and the proposed new chairman of the Federal Reserve, they are not interested in perpetually bailing out this bad debt forever. So I think we have a change in direction as far as that goes.
What will be the role of stablecoin in this restructuring of financing?
I always get very tentative when I stray into this area since it's not my strength and my wheelhouse. But I think what the administration is trying to do is recognize that we are in the 21st century, that we do have other instruments which did not exist in the 20th or the 19th or the 18th century. And I think the principle that they're always operating off of is to ensure that there is something which is not a Wild West under the control of international forces or supranational forces, that there is some kind of financial instrument which has got the government ensuring that it is stable and that it is something that is not going to be used by the speculators. So I think, when you look at somebody like Scott Bessent, who has worked on the other side. We all know he worked for George Soros at one point. He knows how this system works. And I think it is a challenge, and I certainly am not anywhere near having the background or the expertise to deal with this in any kind of detail. But how do you take a Hamiltonian system where you say that the purpose of your financial system is to support your productive economy? How do you take that principle Apply it in the 21st century where you have these enormous complexities of new kinds of financial instruments and so on. I'm confident that we have the people in this administration who are thinking about that question. How do you transit from a speculator-run system to a system which supports the producers in the 21st century environment? So I think they understand the principle, the mechanisms, and the means. I'm going to leave to them.
People are afraid that these digital currencies are a tool for control that will be to control transactions and people.
Well, that's certainly what the globalists want. The Canadian Prime Minister, Mark Carney, who has the dubious distinction of having been the head of two central banks, the Bank of Canada and then the mothership, the Bank of England, he was one of the first people to push this central bank-run digital currency, and it would do exactly that. It would be complete, total control by a global financier elite. And putting absolutely everybody at their mercy. This administration has been clear. They do not support a central bank-run digital currency.